Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes things just aren't what they seem. Today, we're going to dive into a really dramatic story from early Islamic history, a story about a building that looked like a mosque, but was actually built for a very different and, well, a very dangerous purpose. A building for prayer, but designed for war? How does that even happen? That contradiction, that paradox, is exactly what this whole story is about. It's all about how our intentions can corrupt even the most sacred-looking things. So let's get into how this whole deception was orchestrated. So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it's not with the building itself, not with bricks and mortar. Nope. It starts with a conspiracy, a plot cooked up in the shadows by one man operating from afar. And the man at the center of it all? His name was Abu Aamir. Now, he was this learned Christian monk from the Khazraj tribe in Medina, a pretty big deal. But when Islam arrived, he just refused to accept it. And as the Muslim community grew stronger, his opposition got more and more intense, until he finally fled, choosing to side with its enemy. So from his exile, what does he do? He starts writing letters. He reaches out to the hypocrites still inside Medina, the ones who were pretending to be Muslim but secretly harbored disbelief. He promises them he's going to come back with an army from the Roman emperor, and then he gives them a very specific instruction. Build a command post, a stronghold for all their activities. And here is the real twisted genius of the plan. This command post, this outpost for war, wasn't going to look like a fortress. No, it was going to be cleverly disguised as the most sacred of places, a mosque. So as allies back in Medina, they get the message, and they start building. This building would go down in history as Masjid Diraar, which literally means the Mosque of Harm. And you have to admit, their plan was pretty sneaky. Look at this. They built it right next to a well-known, respected mosque, Masjid Quba, just to create rivalry. They timed it perfectly while the Prophet Muhammad was away on the Tabuk expedition. And they had this perfect cover story ready. Oh, this is just to help the weak and the sick who can't make the long walk to Quba in the cold winter. But their real goal, the main goal, was to get the Prophet himself to come and pray there, because that would make it all seem legit. So yeah, the trap was set. They absolutely knew that if the Prophet prayed there, it would be like a divine stamp of approval. Their little outpost of war would be totally secure, even holy in everyone's eyes. And when they invited him, he accepted, promising he'd visit as soon as he got back. But, man plans and God plans. As the Prophet's caravan was on its way back to Medina, maybe a day or so out, this whole conspiracy was about to get blown wide open from the highest possible source. So there he was, getting ready to fulfill his promise. He was about to go visit this new building, completely in the dark about the treachery it was really built on. And then, at that critical moment, a divine revelation came down. These verses from the Quran were sent to the Prophet, and they just laid everything bare, exposing the true malicious intentions behind the building. They had sworn their intentions were good, but Allah himself testified that they were lying. And the Quran didn't just say they were lying, it laid out their 4 evil motives, point by point. First, to cause harm. Second, to promote disbelief. Third, to disunite the believers by pulling them away from the real mosque, Masjid Quba. And fourth, to create an outpost for war. So you see, its whole purpose was the exact opposite of what a mosque should be. And just like that, the plot was shattered. Allah protected the Prophet and gave him a clear command. Never stand you therein. Don't even set foot in that building. And then came the final order. Get rid of it. Completely. So the Prophet didn't waste a second. He immediately sent some of his companions with a very direct order. He said, go to this masjid, then destroy it and burn it. And they did. They went and they burned it to the ground, wiping out what some sources called a chronic illness for good. But what's so amazing is that in the very same revelation that exposed and condemned the Mosque of Haram, Allah also did something else. He praised its righteous neighbor, the one built on a foundation of true piety. And the Quran draws this incredibly stark contrast. It's like, look at these two buildings. It was never about the bricks and the mortar, right? It was all about the intention behind them. One was built on disbelief and aimed for division. The other, Masjid Quba, was founded on piety from its very first day. And it gets even more interesting. The verse goes on to praise the people of Masjid Quba, saying in it are men who love to clean and to purify themselves. This actually made the Prophet himself curious, so he went to them directly to ask about it. He asked them, "O people of the Ansar, Allah has praised you. What is it that you do?" And their answer was so simple, but so profound. They explained that on top of their regular ablution for prayer, they took extra care in their physical purification, using water after using the restroom. It was this simple habit, born out of a sincere desire for cleanliness. And the Prophet confirmed it for them. He said, "Then it is that for which you were praised, so continue to do it." It's just this beautiful link, right? Their outward act of cleanliness was a reflection of their inner state of piety, and that's what earned them praise from God. So, okay, this is an incredible story from 1400 years ago, but it is not just a history lesson. Scholars have pulled a really powerful, timeless principle out of this whole incident. This quote from Sayyid Qutb really nails it. He says, "The same idea of that mosque is taking on new forms today. Think about it. Activities that claim to be for the service of Islam, but are really intended to hurt Islam. The lesson is that any institution, any organization, any project that wraps itself in the flag of righteousness, but is actually designed to cause harm and division, well, it carries the exact same spirit as the mosque of harm." And that's a pretty sobering thought, isn't it? It's a reminder that deception can be incredibly sophisticated. It can wear the right clothes, say all the right things, and look totally righteous on the outside, all while hiding a harmful and divisive agenda. And really, that leaves all of us with a huge question to think about. How do we judge something? By its shiny exterior or by its foundation? Because if there's one thing the story of these two mosques teaches us, it's that the truest measure of any work is not its beautiful building or its polished marketing. It's the sincerity and the piety of the intention it was built on. Yeah, this whole story is a timeless reminder that in the end, the intention is what defines the structure. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad. Thank you for joining this explainer.